So you wrote an unbelievable piece recently, posted at the UNZ review and probably elsewhere, called Joe Biden's Secret War in Ukraine, the thesis of which is that the American government is lying to the American people. Surprise, surprise. That we are far more embedded and involved in the war, and that the neocons and globalists around Joe Biden want to use the war for other purposes, mainly the removal of Vladimir Putin from his position in Russia. But I want to start with the most incendiary thing in your piece. You quote the President of the United States. Now, I know you're quoting somebody else quoting him, but you quote the President of the United States as having said to American troops in Poland, quote, "You're going to see when you're there, and some of you have been there. You're going to see ... Talking to American military about Ukraine. Did the President of the United States, wittingly or unwittingly, admit that there have been American troops on the ground in Ukraine from and after the start of the Russian invasion?
Yeah, it's an interesting comment, and of course, the most interesting aspect of it is how the White House then tried to cover up the comment by saying that the president had misspoken and that there are no American troops in Ukraine. But of course, the evidence is that there are American troops in Ukraine. They were there before the fighting started. They were in there as advisors, and they were pulled out to Poland, or probably most of them were pulled out to Poland when the fighting actually started. But then the embassy was reestablished, the military attaché office was reestablished, and we had $60 billion, a large part of which is military equipment that these dudes have to be trained on. So you know that American troops went back in as this equipment started flowing back in. And the question is, what is the cover? What kind of covers are they under? What kind of hidden arrangements are there? And of course, the real danger is that at a certain point, some of them are going to get killed, or even worse, captured. And then they start to talk.
Wow.
So this is a dangerous, dangerous thing, and Biden is lying about
it. When you say cover, I mean, do these troops wear uniforms? Do they carry weapons? Do they dress as civilians? Are they clean shaven? Are they obviously American troops? And if they are, how dangerous is it if Russians see them?
Yeah. Well, I think the consensus among people like myself, some of whom I quote in the article, is that there are soldiers on the ground, U.S. soldiers, and these people are basically not in uniform by and large. There might be some in the embassy who are, but these people are not in uniform. If they were in uniform, they would have certain protections afforded to prisoners of war and that sort of thing. And the idea is they are probably working under various covers. They might be working under covers of international aid organizations or Red Cross. It could be almost anything. And my suspicion would be that that is how they're operating. And as far as they're being identifiable as Americans, you've traveled, as I have, in Europe and Eastern Europe, and you know well that people can spot an American from about 2 miles off.
Right. Let me turn to the flip side of what you said. If they were wearing uniforms, they'd be protected by the Geneva Convention. They're not wearing uniforms, therefore they are not protected. Therefore, if they are captured by Putin's forces, what protection do they have under the law? Probably none, without a uniform and an identifiable insignia on that uniform.
Absolutely, that's the whole story there. They could be seized as spies, and they could be summarily executed. And this is a dangerous game they're playing. And My real concern, as I try to express it in that article, is that the meatballs in the White House don't seem to have any grasp of just how dangerous this is or where it might be going. And I know today that what is the U.S. Senate worrying about? Legalizing or making same-sex marriages legal all across the United States by law. All right, this is what they're worrying about. We're looking at a potential nuclear war, nuclear exchange with a country that has more missiles and more bombs than we do, and they're worrying about same-sex marriage. There's something seriously wrong here.